Hi all, very good afternoon. This is Ekta calling from the Analytics. I would request anyone, please do not touch the screen because there are some errors happening on the screen on the banners. Please keep that in mind, and we'll start in next 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you everyone for joining. Requesting, please do not touch the screen because the banner is having some scratches here from your end. Thank you everyone.
Hello everyone, a very good afternoon. Myself Saloni, and on behalf of the Analytics team and our partner OzoneTel, we welcome every one of you on our webinar, an omnichannel approach to student engagement and increased enrollment in 2023. First of all, thank you everyone for joining today's session, and we look forward to make it an interesting and engaging session for everyone. There would be a Q&A session after the panel where the attendees can put up their questions in the chat box from where we can take it up. First, let me start by introducing our partner OzoneTel. OzoneTel is an industry leader within the customer experience space, offering businesses a robust omni-channel platform to manage end-to-end communication flows. The AI-powered full-stack platform has enabled over 2,500 businesses to simplify, manage, and analyze interactions at every step of the customer communication and engagement journey. The platform helps enterprises to engage with the customers at every touch point across voice, chat, SMS, WhatsApp, and other digital channels. It fully integrates with the CRM and other business applications and truly offers an omni-channel experience for the customers. Ozontel offers its customers a global that is fully compliant with the telecom regulations across United States, South and Middle East Asia, and India. Today, we would hear interesting insights on how to achieve your enrollment goals this year efficiently and cost effectively. Now, I would like to introduce our moderator, Mr. Prantik Goswami, Manager, Account-Based Marketing from Ozontel Communications. Over to you, Prantik.
Thank you, Saloni. Thank you for the introduction and for introducing Ozontel very nicely. Welcome, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our panelists. I would request all the audience members, the non-panelist members, to keep themselves on mute and please keep their videos shut. Only the panelists, please keep the videos open, and rest, please. So yeah, once again, welcome everyone. My name is Prantik. As Saloni said, I'm an account-based marketing manager at Ozontel, and we are a cloud telephony, cloud contact center service provider. We have a very wonderful set of panelists here. We have some of India's leading innovators in the education and edtech space who have been transforming the education space in India. And before we take a deep dive into and go down to listen to the insights they have today, I would like them to introduce themselves to the audience. Just a quick introduction from everyone at what they do, what the company does, and how long they have been in the education and tech space before we begin our conversation. Yeah, over to you, Mr. Shubham.
Hey guys, so this is Shubham Basu. I look at operations. I'm the Chief Operating Officer with Dbox. Dbox is a little more than a decade-old company. So we are an assessment platform. So we are pure tech company. You can say tech HR, tech learning, and we work with companies which are into learning, universities or assessment. And last year we forayed out of the country. So now we have some international offices as well. So that's me. Thank you so much, Prantik.
Thanks, Shubham. Shaishav, hi.
Hi everyone. My name is Sheshav. I head for Western India with Extra Marks, and I myself and I am Ahmedabad alumni. I'm in EdTech since more than 14 years now. Extra Marks itself is a 15-year-old organization in the EdTech. We basically deal with schools into K-12 segment, wherein giving 360-degree learning experience to the kids and digitizing the whole structure of education is what our aim and goal is. And we've been moving forward to achieve the same.
Thanks, Shaishav. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and all those years of experience, what it taught you and what we can learn today. Bittu, please. Hi.
Hey, hi.
Welcome.
Hi. So my name is Bittu Agarwal. I'm from Geekster. So Geekster is a company where we focus on outcome-based learning, and we are majorly in the upskilling platform, where we are right now upskilling in tech. We are actually two-year-old company, but my experience is almost 6-7 years of experience in edtech, where I've been teaching. Now I'm involved in management as well. Before that, I was a software developer at Amazon, and right now, yeah, I'm managing Geekster.
Thank you. Glad to have you here. Apurva?
Yes. Hi, a very good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Brainalytics and Ozontel for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this wonderful webinar. So yes, this is Apurva. I am currently heading the academics here at Philo. So Philo is a platform where we provide a one-on-one learning journey, that is the personalized learning journey for each and every kids. So I have a core experience of 7.5 years in this industry. So my background is a mixture of research, then teaching, then coming into the management part. So with this core expertise, I try to solve each and every queries of the student in their learn journey.
Thank you, Apurva. Looking forward to it. Ram?
Hi everyone, I'm Ram Pradeep Kumar and I'm currently with Ozontel as a senior product consultant. I've been with Ozontel since 2013 when Ozontel was one among few players in the cloud telephony space in India. Since then, we have grown, evolved, and stand today as one of the industry leaders in the Indian CCaaS, customer communication as a service landscape. Our cloud contact center solution supports more than 1 lakh agent logins every day, with more than 2 billion calls powered by Ozontel annually. Speaking about my role at Ozontel, I actively look into building and assessing system architecture while recommending solutions to improve the usability and user experience. I closely work with sales and pre-sales team and often do a customized client demos for unique business requirements. Today, I'm happy to be part of this one of a kind webinar and eagerly looking forward to the discussion.
Thanks, Ram. And I think we have a very wonderful mix of our panelists here. We have someone from operations, someone looking at the tech side, sales side, someone dealing with the academics, and we have a product guy. As the topic says, an omnichannel approach to student engagement and enrollment in 2023. With the advent of EdTech, one thing for sure, what we have learned is the cyclicity nature of education, which was earlier traditional, has gone now. Now there is a 24/7 student enrollment engagement engine which is running on. And with the emergence of digital channels, WhatsApp, chatbots, your web chats and all, industries are focusing, not just EdTech, all industries are focusing on engaging with the audience through all channels. To begin the discussion, I would want all our audience to have a quick thought on what, because it's EdTech is an industry where the actual buyer is at times different from the buyer who is buying. So your actual user of the tool might be a student, but it might be a parent buying the product, or it might be a school. In case of a B2B product, it might be a school or a university engaging with the product, engaging with the companies like yours, but the actual user is maybe a school going student, a college going student, or someone who's an employee who wants to do a skill base. So what are the key channels which helps to build a connection over a multitude of digital channels, and what are the challenges that you face that you think are relevant in this when you do engage in the multi-channel? So some quick thought to begin the discussion. Anyone can pitch in?
All right, so let me go. So I think omnichannel, I don't think there is an option. It's a necessity. If somebody is not doing it, then he or she will be losing out. But what I see, so everybody will be coming down to it once, because so far people have been trying different methods, which is physical, but this has to be a part of their process. But what comes along with it is how responsibly are we using that channel, those channels, because the end user is gullible, and they are processing the information and they are taking it at your word. So yeah, so it's a necessity, but it's a responsible necessity. Yeah.
Thanks, Shivam. Shashab, you want to go next?
See, gone are the days, because right now we are dealing with the generation which is digital native. So all I understand is, if you want to go in the same pace, if you want to have a longer life, you need to speak the language that your generation, or which the present generation is speaking. You cannot go with the old traditional method. So I believe, in order to just not to grow, but in order to survive, it is really important. As you know, many a times, even today, if we take a very, very common example, like how many of us would have ever gone to an airport or a railway station to purchase a ticket in last 3 years? None of us. So if we move towards, if we talk about technology, if we move towards these omni-channel approaches, it really becomes important for us to speak the language that the customer understands, or that the present generation wants to be into. So we have to step into their shoes and then speak the same language.
Very well said. I totally agree with you, Seshab. Bitu, you want to add some to this? Any challenges that you see, or how the trend has been going on?
As Shashav said that you have to understand your customer, right? If your customer wants like whatever channel he want, we have to go to that channel and we have to just make changes, right? Agree on that point. And the recent trend that we have analyzed is people are moving toward like more toward social media. For example, people are moving toward YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, right? And they are moving to from at least from email. I think this is what I have felt, even like their parents also, right? So one thing we have observed, if you have good presence there, right, on these channels, it really helps grow engagement. They get more engaged, right? And the conversion of lead to like proper customer right pre-sales thing, that can be really handled by these platforms, right? And even this help you to make like these platforms are actually giving you helps us to make trust, right? So this is what major things we have, right? But obviously there are challenges. The challenges that I personally feel is there are multiple channels, but the thing is attention span, right? Like the the customers that we have very less attention span, right? And how you want to deliver your content, how you wanted to engage them, it's very important how what content you are sending them, right? So this is what major things we need to look out, key what content you must send to student to get them engaged, right?
Thanks, Vito. I think a very key insight on the attention span being a challenge with multiple channels coming into the picture. Apurva, your thoughts on the same?
Yes. I would like to add on with Sheshav and bit too. First of all, as Sheshav said, understanding the exact requirement of a kid, and bit too mentioned about the multi-channel part. So first of all, like the datas of understanding the exact requirement of the kid are still in silos. So an omnichannel is an approach where we can collect all the datas which are in silos, and we can make an intrinsic data. We can derive an intrinsic data through it. So during the enrollment time, like after this post-COVID era, it has become really difficult to reach out to the parents who is the actual buyer. So in that case, if we have all the data, Xylos data in a discrete manner, the sales can reach out to the parents, can show the intent of the journey. And in that case, we can achieve the re-enrollment and also the retention part.
Thanks, Apurva. I think another key insights into the role of data here and how an omnichannel process can help you capture data through various channels. Ram, we have heard the industry experts speak. What are your thoughts as a technology solution provider to tech and education companies?
Yeah, Punit. So today's older adults, right? Like Shaishav and Shubham has rightly pointed, the adults, they're embracing technology and using it more and more in their daily lives. So there is a study which says 76% of people who over the age of 55 uses smartphones. So interestingly, another study reveals children whose parents makes an effort to limit media use, they consume less media. So here it is important to point out which medium is most familiar medium for both parents and children. While the data will certainly differ for each of them, hence it is important for the edtech companies to go omnichannel, because the popularity of channel and the importance of each channel holds are two different things and vary across demographics. So coming back to the question, I feel building connection and trust among students or parents is easy if the medium chosen is well researched, relevant, and accessible. That's what Shubham has rightly pointed, responsibly using those channels. Because it's totally possible if a student sees a course ad on YouTube video and his parent schedules a demo class through a website chatbot, and payment link happens through an SMS, and finally confirmation was made on WhatsApp. So there is an end-to-end journey. So it's all about reach and accessibility.
Very well said, Ram. And I think by the end of the webinar, we will be discussing more about this omnichannel approach, how the journey happens through various channels. So speaking about enrollments, like I mentioned before, now the cyclicity nature has gone are the days where schools and education used to start probably around June or in December when there was a cyclical nature, and enrollments only used to happen at that time. Now with the advent of edtech companies, it's a 24/7 student engagement engine. So what are the top mediums? My question to you, Bittu, is what are the top mediums that edtech sector uses to nurture potential candidates throughout the year? Because even though, I mean, earlier the focus would have probably begun around March to get admissions around June, but now there's no definite month, or even if there's some cyclicality, it's lesser than what it used to be earlier. So what are the key channels or mediums that the tech sector uses to nurture potential candidates, and what are those which you think are the most promising ones?
So I think there is no single channel that we use. There are multiple channels. Uh, First of all, the first first thing when obviously student interact with you is actually social media, right? Maybe he might be seeing your ads, maybe he might be seeing your maybe YouTube video or something like that, right? There, one perception become whether I should go ahead with this or not, whether I should learn this or not, right? And after comes the other part where a human intervention came into the picture, right? Still he's confused. We need to nurture him that, yeah, I think the course is for you, right? So here human touch comes into the picture where somebody from as a counselor need to be like there is a call required here, right? When he makes a call, right, there are chances that he will be converted, he will be enrolled, right? And there are chances that he'll not be enrolling, right? There the nurturing part come into the picture. Now multiple channels come, key how you wanted, how showcase him that this is a correct platform for you, right? And for that, I think again this platforms that they are using, and I feel, for example, um, maybe WhatsApp can be the one, because we have seen that students are majorly on WhatsApp right now. Maybe it can be somehow Instagram or ads, retargeting the ads, right? So this way you keep showing them that there's a product, there's a good product, there's a good learning chances that you can have. And or let's hope that he came back, right? And it have shown that like continuous nurturing basically helps to get them enrolled, right? So this is what we have seen. Again, it's a multi-channel thing, right? There are multiple channels we are exploring, and by combination of all, we are able to majorly convert them.
Thanks, Vito. I think we all can agree that there needs to be a human intervention, and the nurture phase can be through social media, through communication channels. And speaking of communication channels, Ram, since we are a CCAS provider, and we know that the challenges which can be addressed, like student spoke to a counselor and he calls again, there is a different counselor attending to him. The history part of it, the omni-channel part, someone like Bittu mentioned, a student enrolled, he took a demo or he took a session with the counselor, and then when they are showing an Instagram ad, he engages again through a different channel. So how all these interventions can edtech companies overcome? Like how can technology help them to overcome these challenges? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple of points. So let me take the first one. There may be a missing engagement opportunities happens when you have disjointed systems. So when you don't have a holistic view of the students and you operate in silo, which Apurva was pointing rightly initially, absence of a centralized lead management system and poor technology integration can be another reason where you are unable to get that momentum in the enrollment process. To address this, firstly, edtech companies need to strengthen lead acquisition. So now with the revolution we have, all the digitalization we are seeing in the market, generating leads is not a big problem. However, converting them is, right? With so many different sources, it is tough to monitor lead and plot their route. So 80% of the leads may lose due to lack of follow-ups as well. So this is where the lead acquisition helps you. It makes sure your enrollment teams, counselors or staffs show up on time. So reaching out to a lead as soon as they submit a query enhances the chances of conversion. So I would like to communicate instantly. When I submit a form, I get a call or I get a message. So there is a channel of communication. So if you have a CRM solution tailored to EdTech needs, so the EdTechs may achieve efficient lead collection, distribution, and management. So this is the primary one, which I see. The secondly, the EdTech companies will have to support students on their terms, reach out to prospects when they hang out. There are some studies which says 60% of the people or students, they're too anxious to take a phone call. So there are some people who prefer live chat or any other channel. So there we see where it is being headed, right? For consistent lead flows and efficient lead management, EdTech companies not only need to embrace omni-channel communication, but also must achieve the right mix of technology and human agents. This is what Bitu was highlighting, immediate connecting to the agent, the counselor, as soon as the call is received, right? So from a general query asked through a web form to bringing that conversation into a prospect's choice of a platform. So it can be a Facebook Messenger, like rightly Bitu was saying, Instagram or any other social media. It can be a WhatsApp, which is a boom in the market. Everyone uses that medium. Or it can be a IVRS based voice call. Navigating mediums may sound exhaustive, but in reality, it is simple phenomenon on a truly omni-channel setup. So to conclude that, the key challenges: timely notifications, tracking student journey, and one-click connectivity with live executives or counselors through skill-based routing. You know, there is a chance of language-based connecting to the right agent or a counselor. So omni-channel communication setup offers a solid grip on this lead movement or the journey across the sales cycle.
Thanks, Ram. I think one rightly pointed out was having a right mix of technology. Secondly, I think while designing this entire experience where a student reaches out to you, I think they need to keep a holistic view of how the preferences are. Like Ram mentioned, there were some students who are too anxious to get a live call or phone call, or there are people who prefer a WhatsApp communication. There are people who prefer a video chat. So it's a very different, and I think there are different. I'm sure companies would have various data points where how they want to personalize the communication flow. And I think while designing, my question to you, Shaisha, when you are designing this entire student experiences where they are engaging with an organization like yours, what are these touch points which look like? And also when your competitors are also equally equipped, how do you differentiate to offer that personalized service to your students? Because student teacher, student counselor communication is a very personalized experience, I feel. And how do you differentiate this, and what do you think are the main touch points?
See, to start with, I would say, how do we differentiate? Let us understand education for a child as a whole and a teacher, a relation between a teacher and a student. Education's purpose is not to cover the syllabus. Number one, it has to build stories around. So when you create stories around, a child gets interested. What is there in for me? Number one, because if you go back like 3 years ago, when there was a lockdown and kids were at home, they did not miss the learning. They missed meeting each other, which was more important. Because in our entire life, we spend only 5% of our life in the closed classroom. Rest entire learning of 95% in the life happens outside the classroom, right? So now, how do extra marks pitch into it is, because in India, if we see, the major missing of any education institution or a school or any process is the research habit is very low, and the self-learning habit is very low in the kids. Even we are the product of same education policy, I would say. Creating a very streamlined approach where the concept becomes easier for a kid, where the concept becomes more interesting, where the concept can be related to a real life example, so that it stays in my brain throughout the life, becomes more interesting. I don't say give the content or give the technology to the kid, or to the kid or the teacher and keep them alone. No, give it to them, let them segregate what is useful to them in the whole entire plate that you have served them. Whatever they like, let them pick. Handhold them to incorporate or blend their skills into the technology that they have already chosen. A blend of technology and the skills of teacher together always makes a good offer to enter a child's brain, always makes a good effort to enter successfully for a long-term thought process, because all of us know a human mind thinks on the images. If I say there is a red elephant standing outside the gate, all of you would imagine a huge creature in a red color, right? So apple, the first color that comes to your mind is red. So how did all this come? This comes from an experiential learning platform, wherein if you make a child do it on his own, do the research, create their higher order thinking skills on a better stage, the child is always with you. The learner is always with you, and you can sail yourself easily, is what we believe, is what our pedagogy is, because the goal is not education. The goal is engagement, and goal is human to human engagement. Rest, everything flows on its own.
Thanks, Saisab. I think that was a very detailed answer. Before we move on to Apurva, we have Sagnik here. Hi, Sagnik.
Hi,
for
hi,
joining us.
Pratik. Good
Hi.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Sagnik, can you just quickly introduce yourself to the audience and we can move ahead?
Sure. So, my name is Saknik Ghosh. I work at Unacademy as the head of our K-12 business. I've been here since the last 2.5 years, where I've been part of and also overseen a lot of strategic shifts at Unacademy in the way we work. Prior to this, I was a consultant at Bain and Company for 3.5 years. So, and also thanks a lot to Brain Analytics for inviting me on this panel, and a warm welcome to a warm hello to everyone else as well. We can move ahead.
Thanks, Sagnik. So yeah, Apurva, moving on with the same question to you. I mean, since Philo is an organization which deals with tutors, a student tutor engagement, how do you manage all these communication touch points and ensure that the students are engaged? There's a personalized touch between them. There might be language barriers, there might be time barriers where a student can come at any time of the night and you might not have. So how do you engage, how do you manage all this?
Yeah, so the concept is same like we all have used these days. We are using Ola, we are using Uber, right? Though our model of working is the same like we use Ola and Uber. First of all, coming to the connectivity part, we run 24/7 and 365 days. If a child is getting a doubt at morning 4 o'clock, also the child is able to get a teacher of the of his or her own choice. Not only getting a right teacher, we also ensure the quality part in that. First of all, let me talk more on how we map it. It's based on the understanding of the child's requirement nowadays is very, very important, which I feel. So first of all, to understand the requirement, when the child triggers get a doubt in the entire session, the child can also choose on which subtopic or on which specific area the doubt is being encountered. So accordingly, the mapping is being done with the right teacher for this kid. And the communication channel, this is the instant part. We also provide a personalized one-on-one learning where the child can take a private session from the favorite tutor. So in the instant part, like we rate our driver in a cab, like once the drive is done, we get the leverage to rate the driver. The similar journey we have created here. Once the learn journey is completed with the kid, the child get the leverage to mark the tutor as a favorite tutor. But in the concept of Uber or Ola, the the driver is not getting the leverage to mark us as a favorite rider, right? But here what happens is that even the teacher is getting the leverage to mark the student as a favorite student. So in that case, what happens in the next time when the teacher comes online or whenever the student comes online, both of them get notified ki, hey, your favorite teacher or hey, your favorite student is online. So that's the way we go more deeper into maintaining a proper channel.
Thanks, Apurva. I think we have something called a sticky agent at Ozone Tel, wherein let's a student is talking to a counselor This is while in the enrollment process, a student calls up an organization, he speaks to a counselor for 10-15 minutes, and then probably he calls back another after 2 months. And the system is designed in a way that if the same counselor is free, he'll speak to the same counselor, so that because the same counselor knows the history about it, there's also a personalized touch to it because he knows what he has discussed before. And I think this is similar to what you do, but in a different setting, of course. Moving ahead, like we talked about this bit too earlier, wherein we talked about having a right mix of technology. And now in the age of AI chatbot with ChatGPT-2 coming in, the enrollment process, I think a lot of questions can be answered by bots. A lot of questions which the student has can be self-answered with the help of a bot, and the human touch comes in pretty late. So what is the right mix of automation and counselor intervention that you feel? And having this, if you have implemented at your organizations, what changes do you see in terms of having efficiency increase, in terms of agent times, in terms of ROIs? So can you throw some light on it?
Sure. So I think there is two part, right? Either student is looking for information or he's actually looking for counseling, right? If he's looking for information, for example, what all things will learn. Let's say he wanted to know when batch will start, right? Simple information. So that information can be automated. But if a person want counseling, then the human touch will be required. So we have to understand what customer want at that moment, right? If you feel he want basic information that can be just given and can be resolved, again, automation will be awesome thing to do. But if you feel he needs some touch point where he's confused, he do not know whether to join course or not, something like that, there human touch comes into the picture, right? Where a person can go and explain things, how things work, how things won't work, right? What you need to do, what you not need to do, right? So I think the blended mix should be there, right? And as you said, there are multiple LLM engines are coming, as you mentioned, ChatGPT, and similarly we have seen multiple ones as well. So for them as well, again, one thing is they are unpredictable, right? So using directly into the systems is again a tough thing to do, right? Because they are unpredictable, right? They can, well, for example, let's say student ask something and they might say that is not aligned with your company, right? So still we are exploring that part, right? So yeah, I think this is the answer. So yeah, we can obviously automate the information, but yeah, and maybe ChatGPT in future, when we'll be able to train them properly, when we'll be able to see things how, like, for what input, what output should be there are some clarity, right? Then only we can add them in our businesses. But I think it's still a long way to go.
Thanks, Vitu. Ram, what are your thoughts on automation and a mix of automation and counselor intervention, and how the entire CKS omnichannel bit comes into this picture?
See, so ultimate point is to offer a seamless, integrated, omni-channel student experience. That's the goal, right? So the tech companies can reduce registration time and accelerate on the enrollment process by utilizing voice channels and other digital channels. So in one of the digital channels we can easily adopt is WhatsApp application. So now we have a WhatsApp business numbers that can be configured. We can have a menu-based, communication there, so that the right information, like Bitu was pointing out, right information can be automated there. So while enabling intelligent routing capabilities, it can be a voice routing channel or a message. It can be a communication. So apart from voice, what else is a communication? Anything, maybe a chat bot, WhatsApp bot, anything, right? So they all fall under communication as a service. So intelligent routing, once we keep that in place using a right technology across all digital channels and the voice channel for verification and confirmation. So like some of the tech companies already following when some form fills in, right? Someone fills in the form. The call will be generated automatically to identify whether it is a right number, it's a genuine lead. So this can be automated. We can have a IVRS in place. Similarly, the next phase can be a messaging, WhatsApp messages. Then the lead can be converted, then put to a right agent or counselor. So it's a blend, like the team was saying, Shaisha was saying, blending with the technology and the human agents that should help. And what we have to take care is in voice technology, skill-based routing. It can be a language-based or a course-based. So connect the call to the right guy. So it can maybe due to technical glitches if the call is dropped, or during the messaging services on WhatsApp if the chat got abandoned. In all these cases, the number, the customers or a lead number can be automated to a dialer. So the dialer can go back and connect to the same executive. So in the voice technology, we say it's a sticky counselor or sticky agent, right? So we can automate this even with WhatsApp messaging. So if a student replies back, the bot can give you right information, connect to the live agent if needed. And the best part is Ozontel Omnichannel experience. CCAS offers all these functionalities and under a single roof, under a single unified platform.
Thanks, Ram. I think very rightly mentioned the right blend of having IVR, chatbots, WhatsApp. I think it's going to be a major game changer in this entire space for everyone. We have spoken about enrollment more on a B2C settings, but we wanted to know how it happens in a B2B, wherein another corporation or another organization is buying the product, but the end user is student. So Subham, I think you'll be the best person to tell us, like in a B2B settings, when you're dealing with schools or companies or universities, how are your end user of your product is a student. So can you describe the operational journey in terms of how the end user communicates, or how your organization communicates with the end user?
Sure thing. So for us as a company, getting business is not a challenge, which is generating leads is not a challenge. Where communication becomes extremely critical is the end user, the people who we are there to serve. Again, I'm saying not the client, but the client's client, right?
Yes.
They are the end users. Now we have different types of end users. One end user is a student at a school. Second end user is a student at a university, let's say student at Ahmedabad. He could be an employee at an organization. And the biggest chunk, a student who is sitting in a rural area, he doesn't have a smartphone, perhaps he doesn't even have a phone, and his parents have a phone, right? So there might or might not be a very good internet connectivity. And this is a population which might be, let's say, rough guesstimate 50% of Indian students, right? So the first part is of the students is pretty much reachable with the current technology. They are on WhatsApp, they are on social media, they are on, they can be called, they understand the lingo of English and education. And the rest of the 50% don't even understand the lingo of English and education, right? So I will give you a classic example. We work a lot with the government of India and the state governments. So a very good project that we are working on, we have been working on for the last 7 or 8 months, is the UP government. And you know that UP government is after Gujarat, it's the like a pie or apple for government of India as a model state. Now they took up a challenge that they established a lot of skilling centers across the entire state. And one of the biggest challenges was, despite the skilling centers, how do they make them enter a job, right? And that's where, so their skilling centers are in place, the educators are in place. Now, they still are my end users. So my end user could be taking an assessment or an exam on a computer where he might have an internet, and I can support that person via an IVR, or let's say there is a WhatsApp thing, or let's say any other technology medium to support that person, right? So we use Omnichannel when my end user is sitting, let's say in a large tier 2 or a tier 1 town. So we are doing that, or anywhere across the globe. But when it's not a tier 1 town or a tier 2 town, then it becomes, so we had to define a new medium of communication altogether. So I'm just sharing with you a classic case. Perhaps you might not have come across something similar earlier. So my end user right now, let's say a rural student who is utterly confused as to what he has to do in life, and he, let's say, is 19 years old and he has signed up with a skilling center with the UP government, or let's say an ITI with the UP government. Now he has to choose a career which works with him. Now, we at VBox, we created some algorithms where a counseling, what he has to do based on his choices, it's created. Now here, if you see, like we were talking about different pieces being put together for the final communication, there is AI working, there is phone channel working, there is an app working, and along with it, there is a huge team of counselors spread across the state who are translating the meaning of the whatever the AI is generating for the end candidates. So again, this becomes kind of a tech and physical omni-channel across the state, given the restriction we have that people don't have enough gadgets, people don't have perhaps enough internet in a lot of places, right? So I just gave you another side of what we are doing out of people who are into technology. And this is where a lot of progress is happening. So I'm talking about like 60% of students in India who perhaps for upgrade or for a larger company, I'm just taking an example, they might be beyond their reach because they are not on technology or education level so far. So yeah, that's it.
I think that was really interesting to hear. And Subham, one question, like, do you, since you talked about, so is it, so how are you routing this? I'm sure most of your students, the 60% of them are speaking in different languages in India. They are not all English speaking or Hindi speaking. And how many languages do you support across, or do you have IVRs across multiple channels?
No, so see, these, let's say, I'm only talking about the rural kids here. We communicate with them via our counselors because the limitation is that they are not even smart enough to communicate with somebody at this end, at this point of time. Because let's understand that student doesn't even know what to do in life. That student would have been perhaps working on the farm with his father. And the government of UP made enough initiatives to help him join some program. So he doesn't know anything about this world. So he won't even understand what conversation happens over a phone. So a real-time counselor sitting out there translating all the stuff for that person.
Understood. Thank you very much for your answer.
And in the local languages.
Yes. So you must be having very high call volumes, and there must be a huge number of counselors in your team.
Huge number.
Great. So thank you, Subham, for your answer again. Apurva, I think we have briefly touched upon this student communication bit. But one thing I wanted to learn is, again, in the same setting, your preferably buyer would be a student's parents, right? Yes. And the end user is a student. So how is there a different mode of communication to the parents and a different mode of communication going on to the students, or how you're managing that?
The mode of communication, as these days we know that WhatsApp is the weapon for any mode of communication. So we do the learning trajectory, we design it according to the child requirement, and we collect the intent data to show the parent through WhatsApp ki, hey, your child has used this number of times our product, understanding the requirement, and your child has really like shown incremental learning journey by using this product. So this data we produce through WhatsApp. We do a proper bannering, marketing with this data. We do the WhatsApp data, WhatsApp banners through it to produce ki, yes, we have really created an impact in the learn journey of a kid. So yes, through WhatsApp, we do that.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. One thing about EdTech is it's said to be going to be a $30 billion industry in the next 10 years. And owing to the post-pandemic normalization and acceptance of remote classes and by everyone, like parents, learners, and everyone. Sagnik, how encouraging does this look in the tier 2, tier 3 rural sector? And obviously, as Subham was clearly mentioning, there is a lack of device penetration in there, and there has to be a different channel which you adapt to in a tier 1 city versus a tier 3, tier 4 city, or in a rural context of rural India. And what are the biggest challenges when it comes to converting students from these regions? I'm talking about enrollment specific. Your thoughts, please. Sagnik, you're on mute.
So rural penetration of smartphones, firstly, which is the primary driver of education technology, in the last 4 years, it has increased roughly by 30%, from 35% to around 67%. The aspirations and the intent of the audience in these towns is, if anything, more than average in terms of building a great future for themselves. We can see this in terms of the adoption as well. If I look at Unacademy, nearly 70% plus of our users actually come from tier 2 plus, and that's huge. That tells you that not only is demand high, we finally have a means to service that demand, because say the traditional means of coaching take time to reach so far into the heartland. This is a very encouraging sign if you see that the number of aspirants of various examinations has also increased recently. For example, the medical entrance exam, the number of aspirants used to be 14 lakh, that has now become 20 lakh in the last 3 years. So there is huge adoption, and that is a positive sign for education industry as a whole, and EdTech in particular, which has the capability to reach so many people, in this geographical segment. In terms of engaging, it is definitely not as easy. Reason being that you can't really set up a very efficient face-to-face sales network, or even say the typical problems with connectivity. As you mentioned, the connect rate is somewhat lower than average when it comes to these geographical segments, which is where I think we were discussing earlier about, say, the role that, say, an integrated system of chat box followed by counselors can play becomes even more important. If I give, say, some statistics here, so on average, if, say, I have 100 people on my platform, if none of them have watched a class, they've just come on my platform, it becomes difficult to reach out to more than 20-30 of them. If they've watched a class or engaged with me in some way, that number goes up drastically, which is why we have to find ways to constantly re-engage those users, either through content which is relevant, or through systems of communication such as WhatsApp, which is becoming increasingly relevant, or even because, say, the SMS and email means, I mean, they are there, but WhatsApp, we've seen a greater penetration here and a greater adoption. So these systems over time can help us increase the the engagement level with that audience, and it is going to be a huge opportunity for the industry as a whole.
Thanks, Sagnik. Sheshab, would you like to add on to what Sagnik said in context of rural India, tier 3 cities?
Yeah, see, first of all, if we talk about technology, let's not divide India into urban India and rural India. When it is technology, it has entered the whole India. So there is no more rural India left, because even if a farmer is carrying a smartphone, he's carrying some technology in his pocket where he's accessible to any data across the globe. So here the picture comes into a bigger frame, because it was really tough or impossible for us as an individual to think that there would be a demonetization in this country, right? We stood in the lines, we deposited the old currency, we fought for the new currency notes, and all those things happened. Right now is the era where everything is happening so digital. Why don't we think of something out of the box and understand that we are the country who invented zero? We are the country who have taught the world a lot of things. Let's start thinking about exporting education, I would rather say. We have got good teachers. We have got good teachers even in the rural segment that we are talking about. How about bringing them to a platform with technology and giving them an exposure of teaching the world a theory which could be so relative for a Western country to even understand? That is point number one. Of course, yes, there is lack of gadgets, as my fellow members mentioned, lack of gadgets across, but an initiative has to be taken. Someone has to make the first move for others to follow. Otherwise, this would never happen, as I spoke about demonetization. Again, in the rural segment, when I say, when we speak about technology and the rural segment, if we understand, for anyone, for a single child in the rural belt to study for competitive exams like JEE or NEET preparation, how much money does an individual have to spend? A farmer's son, let's talk about that example only. A farmer's son has to spend around 3 lakh rupees as a fees per year, plus other expenses that sums up to around 4.5 lakh if it is migrating to another city, maybe migrating to Kota. We all have seen Kota factory and we all know the story of Kota factory, how it works. But if the same support is being given at a doorstep or at a small center in the rural belt or the rural segment, don't we understand that a huge amount of cost would be reduced? That cost plus the pressure on the brain sitting at Kota or Delhi or any other cities, these all things could save a lot of money. Of course, we all know that anyone going Kota does not end up to IITs or other institutes, but they go for exposure, they go for multiple different things, and then they come back and they end up into some other engineering colleges. But it's all about how much money did they spend. These all money could be saved if technology enters rural belt also. And as I said, an initiative has to be taken. The internet has reached corners of the country. If companies like us, if organizations like us take an initiative and develop these rural belts, it would be much easier for us. Along with other commodities, we will start exporting education also very soon.
Thanks, Rishabh. I think it's really an inspiring thought and looking forward to that. I think we are almost towards the end of discussion. I don't see any audience question till now, but what we have learned today is right from lead generation to onboarding, engaging with your stakeholders, be it the educators or be it the students. Omnichannel has been an approach which everyone has adopted. It's no more one single channel. It's mix of all channels and mixing them well with the right efficiency, so that you don't end up spending too much in technology or you don't end up spending too less in technology too. So I would like everyone to give a final parting thought on what you think is the setup of which is gonna go ahead in terms of technology, the right mix in the coming years for EdTech, and how is it looking? So anyone? Shubham?
All right. So I think what becomes extremely important, and if I suddenly put myself in the shoes of a student, what becomes extremely important is getting the right answer at the right time, so that I can make an informed decision. Now, if I'm a student who studies in Delhi, that information is a little different, or perhaps very different, compared to if I'm a student, let's say, in a very small suburb around a town called Eta. Now, anybody who is supplying this information has to be very sensitive about what the needs are. We can't label or categorize the needs. A lot of these needs are understood while the communication is happening. Because if I supply the wrong information and the student takes a wrong decision, then nobody is helping, or it's not helping anybody. So I think a mix of technology initiative, a mix of omnichannel initiative to ensure that my target audience or whoever the student is gets the right information. So that will be my objective and my expectation from whoever is supplying information.
Thanks, Shivam. Bittu, you want to say? Go next.
Sure. Like, I think one thing that I've learned from this meeting only, and few things that need to be mentioned, and like at Amazon also, we used to believe one leadership principle, which is customer obsession, right? So you need to understand customer, right? So like based on his based on his expertise, his knowledge, you have to reshape your uh, communication, right? It might be, maybe today it's WhatsApp, but in future it might be something else, right? So it is, I think, continuous growth that we have to see. It's continuous learning we have to see. We have to understand what customer wants and just focus on those parts. And I think things will be on the positive notes.
Clearly adapting to upcoming technology and adopting judiciously is probably the right word. We may not need not adopt each and every technology which has come up. And Apurva, your thoughts?
Yeah, like as I mentioned earlier also, this approach I think will help us to gather these discrete silos in a one channel. And in the upcoming days, our scalability will also increase. Now, also, I would like to add on the point when Shubham said he is using a lot of counselors in like for serving the cause. So I guess integrating this omni-channel with the chatbots can also minimize the like use of counselors, like 75 to 80% of the doubts can be resolved through the chatbots, like through the integration of chatbots. And also the engagement part can be like it can be in a better way, like we keep on engaging the student ki, okay, whether you want to know more on this segment, whether you want to know more on that segment. In that case, the engagement is also like can be empowered through the integration of chatbots. And obviously in the cost also we can cut down, where we cannot force the counselors to work round the clock, but the chatbots can work round the clock for us. So one is scalability, then second is lead generation becomes very easier in that way. So I think we all can work on it to move towards omni-channel approach in the upcoming days, and
I think
obviously integrating this with the tech part.
definitely we totally agree that bots are a major tool of lead gen. I think most industries have adopted that to ensure that even if a lead comes in at 2 a.m. at the night and you might not have a live agent to answer or reply to him within
Yeah,
10 minutes.
even
But
in
a
few
chat,
cases we have seen that like LPG has also integrated these bots, and they have like shown their CSAT score in an increased order. Like if I'm not wrong, the data is 4.4 out of 5 is their CSAT score. So I guess we all like can work more towards integrating in those technologies.
I think the major advantage of a bot over human is a bot can be available all the time. It's a
Yes,
clear takeaway.
24/7. Yes, exactly.
Shesha, what are your views on how omnichannel can help in this enrollment process, and what's the trend which is gonna go ahead?
See, I believe like omni-channel is the only way out, wherein if you want to customize education for today's generation, it will be possible, because every we are a very diverse nation, I would say. So the need of every individual is different. In the similar way, the learning need of every child is different on the different scale. So in order to customize it, it is really important for technology to be integrated. And of course, yes, the multiple different channels play a major role to integrate this. And end thought is only one, wherein I always have been a believer and strict believer of this, wherein IT plus IT is equal to IT is the formula that I follow. That is information technology plus Indian talent is India tomorrow.
Great. I think again another inspiring thought. Sagnik, your views on omnichannel, which can aid enrollment, student engagement in the tech sector.
Yeah, I think in my mind, omnichannel technology, like any other technology, can amplify a lot of things that a lot of us are already doing. For example, making, say, helping warm up a learner, like providing an initial set of information before passing it on to a counselor for final closure. There are a lot of and similar use cases, say answering regular day-to-day doubts. Like there's one point is just helping the student enroll, but then the other point is throughout the journey there are various touch points where say technology like this can be integrated to solve not just the onboarding experience but also say the experience throughout the journey of that learner. So I think the way to look at it is what points can it amplify, which use cases can it pick up in order to make the learner's life so much richer. I think Bitu mentioned the importance of putting the learner first or the customer first, being obsessed about their needs and putting the technology in where it is most relevant. I think that can be a huge lever for improving everything that we're already doing.
Thanks, Sagnik. Ram, why don't you wrap the session up with your final parting thoughts?
Yeah, I've collated a couple of points which very relevant, and all the industry experts are here, right? So omni-channel communication is the best. Like Shesha was saying, there is no other go. We have to go for it. Offers this omni-channel experience will give limitless possibilities for edtech and educational industry as a whole to grow by leaps and bounds. So because it never lets the companies or students miss any information, right? Like Bitu was saying, the information is very important. So know your customer, right? Bitu, KYC. So companies can connect, convert, and retain on a unified platform. Not only that, but having an omni-channel setup makes enrollment campaigns efficient and lets edtech companies measure ROI against each campaign with ample scope of introspection and re-engagement. So agents will be more happier with this approach, and they can spend more time solving complex queries, since 50 to 60% of redundant work gets fully automated. Like Apur was saying, cost cutting. So we can reduce most of the redundant work and then connect to the live executives.
Thanks, Ram. I think we can totally agree today based on our discussion today, and that was the last question, that it's a fair mix of technology, human integration. Technology, we can be having the right CRM platform, having the right communication platform or software that you have, enabling something like bots, chatbots, WhatsApp bots to mix with, and finally the human touch. And it's a mix of all four, integration of all four capabilities together, which can help companies provide the right personalized experience. Also, it enables them to be more efficient in the way they deal with incoming leads, incoming large number of queries, be more scalable in a way. So on that note, I think we come to the end of today's session. I would like to thank all our audience for staying till now, and a big thanks to all the panelists for joining us and giving us their time. And it was really wonderful to hear all your thoughts. It was a very great discussion today. We had a wide mix of education reformists, I would say, who have worked in, even though you are all at tech, but you have been working in different use cases of education, and you have been solving different problems across the country. And it was really great listening to all of you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Prantik.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. joining and making this webinar so insightful. Thank you for all our speakers for taking your precious time out and sharing your thoughts, not missing our lovely audience. Thank you everyone for your time and making this webinar an interesting and an engaging one. Well, lastly, thanking our partner Ozontel for associating with us. We shall be sharing the session video with you soon, and also would be reaching out to you for connecting with Ozontel for one-on-one brainstorming session for an introductory call. Till then, thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely evening ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.